let's get started. And by the way, tomorrow in the morning, I have the workshop. So you're welcome. If I recall correctly, it's 8 a.m. in the beta 2. So I'll be there. And in case something will be unreplied today, you'll be able to ask those questions tomorrow. So meet my friend. His name is Bender. He loves blackjack, good people, and of course Zabbix. So at some point, he will help me to show some sort of the visualizations. And at some point, he will do some inappropriate jokes. So sorry about him. He's a nasty guy. We will divide my presentation basically into 2 blocks. First one will be, let's say, a simple visualization or working with the text. And another part will be about the new and posh graph widget. Then, of course, the dashboards and the maps. So those are the raw values you can get from basically any Linux system. Can you read them? I believe yes, you can say 1 million something, yeah, but nobody can at least right now, in a single click, who can transfer the Unix time to a human-readable format in the Latvian time zone. He can. Obviously, he would say, like, easy, I'm a robot. I believe he also runs Zabbix inside himself at some point. But for you and for many other humans, so since we're not in the cyber era so far, it will be like that. It will make you really mad, and your eyes will bleed. So how Zabbix can help us? We have a solution. Solution is being called units. So for some of you, I will be like a Captain Obvious. So excuse me, you can call me Cap. I will call you the Avengers. Just enter in the units field some of the units, like Unix time in this case. And this already will be converted from a non-human readable format into a human readable date. Which time zone it will pick up depends on the configuration in your PHP settings or in a Zabbix settings. Depends how you configure your web server. So we are really flexible on that. And in case you run multiple servers, you can run the multiple web servers. You can run the multiple time zones as well. So it will make this, with the last value, enormous amount of numbers, to look like this. I believe it's more human readable, isn't it? Now we can read it. We have some underground rocks there. Some units are unlikely to be converted, let's say RPMs or percentages, because Zabbix will do a conversion from the, let's say, kilo to mega, from mega to giga, and etc. So I will show you how to escape that in the modern way right now, starting from 4.0. Some units require specific conversion. An example, the same Unix time, bytes or BPS. And of course, you would like to have something custom. Yes, this is a Zabbix. You can customize things here. So let's deal with the BPS and capital Bs, and let's say small b's and the BPS. What is the basically difference? So the next step will be applied if you use capital B or BPS in your units after the 1024. But if you use a lowercase, which is not in the logic of the Zabbix, basically, those B's and BPSs in a lowercase, then the next step will be applied after 1000. So choose wisely what you would like to get. Same to the BPS. Oh, sorry about that. Some small mistake. But here is in the first part, there is seconds or uptime. What is the difference? If you will configure this for, let's say, and your host will be in uptime for 1 minute, 1 hour, or maybe 2 hours, basically you don't see any difference right here. But if it goes more than 24 hours, then in small seconds, it will be truncated, and you will see 1 day, 1 hour, and of course, 1 minute. But if you go with the uptime, you'll be able to find the days, the hours, the minutes, and of course, the seconds. So in case if you are fighting with some sort of the lawyers, which swears on your uptime, I would recommend you to use the uptime unit so you can tell them precisely for how long this host is up and running. Whoa, Bender again wants to create its own custom units. With the Zabbix, it is possible. Just enter in the units a free-form string, and it will be automatically applied. And of course, the conversion to kilo, mega, giga, and etc. will be applied as well. So if Bender would close itself for 1,000 clones, you will see in Zabbix 1 kilo clones, which at some point is not so, it not just doesn't suit. Because we would like to see a raw value, but we also would like to see the units so our managers could avoid guessing what sort of the units they are. Is it dollars, euros, or kilobytes? So it's very easy, and starting from 4.0, as Alexey already told, just place an exclamation mark right before the units, before your custom unit string, and this will escape the conversion. So if I will use the exclamation mark with the clones, it will be a 1,000 clones without any kilo or mega. This also is about the text processing, but again, this will store the data in raw values, so no changes to your data. You can sleep well and safe. The data is there as it was gathered. So let's say those awkward numbers you can get from the SNMP. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 28, or whatever it is. It's the static response codes, and you're aware about them. But sometimes, you know, let's say Cisco and HP, they will have a totally different meaning of their SNMP tree and what they mean by 1 and 2. So, and you, how will you remember this? You don't need to remember. With Zabbix, you can apply a value mapping, a cool feature which will allow you to see those values in the way with their meaning. So without value mapping, the access or removable status, but let's focus on the access, it will be just 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Show it to some new guy who just came to your work and never see this equipment and say like, what is this? He will scratch his head and say like, I don't know, mate. So what to do? Apply the value mapping. At some point, if you will see some video flickering, please excuse me. I try to do my best, but I'm not a video guy. So you go to Administration General, and please select the value mapping. Well, we already have a lot of the predefined sets, but you can create your own. Just click on Create and enter the name. Please use something that you can later find out, or your team will be able at least to figure out what it is. Not like my cool value mapping 1, 2, 3, or Alexey is a good guy. So then, place a value, and how you would like this to be represented in the front end. Read only and read write. Once it's saved, go to Configuration, to your host or your template, open your item, navigate to the end of the page, and use Show Value, and instead of As Is, your created rule, like device access status. Update this one And that's it. Once it's updated, you will be able to find this information in your latest data. But in the database, it still be the same. Isn't it cool? It is cool. This will be used in the notifications as well, so nobody will try to Google what the one means in the Cisco router or Cisco switch 2960, or like trying to phone you and say like, hey, what's this? No, not anymore. Just a nice overview of all your infrastructure. 58 predefined sets, but we are not limited to that. And yes, you can download them from some sort of Zabbix share or shared community. You can export them and store in a safe place. Of course, you can export those with the templates and import with the templates and the host as well. So this was starting from 3.0, if I recall correctly, and it works like a charm. The graphs, or I would like to say the graph widget. The most important about the graphs is the new graph widget. And Mr. Bender would like to say that we've redesigned the way how you will use graphs in the future, and the world of the graphs will never be the same starting from this moment. Why? They will look like this. Awesome, nice, transparent, you know, and the way how you will create it, I will just show right now. It's bellissimo. Welcome to the Zabbix Theater. Grab a popcorn and let's find out how you can use the graph widget. First thing, of course, it's a dashboard, and I would like to say why it's cool. Because even a simple user without any read-write access to your infrastructure will be able to create his graphs, because the dashboards are accessible for the users. Let's say I will call it a brand new graph widget, because it's a really totally new thing. The previous graph widget is moved to the name Graph Classic. I need to enter some host pattern here. I can do it in an old-fashioned way, like selecting some hosts, let's say Linux production, mark them, then click select. Well, it's not the way what we will do. We will use some sort of the wildcard. So I will just put a VM and before that a star sign to refer to every host named VM. Same goes to the items. You can do it in old-fashioned, just go there, find the item, select it, add it, or let's add some points to the flexibility. Write a wildcard mask again, like CPU, star sign, then util, and then again star sign. Boom, here they are. Pretty much awesome. I took the two hosts with a single wildcard mask, and I took about 3 items from that awesome Zabbix. You can play with a draw, like lines or let's say dots, and control the size. Or you can make a staircase, depends what is the data and how you like to overview that. You can play with a fill or transparency to make it less transparent or with a more precise line for the minimum and the maximum. Of course, you can do and place the y-axis on the right or on the left. Depends on your needs. In case there are multiple values, you can use them. What to do with the missing data is if the data is absent there. So you can either to show it as none or treat as a 0, or just somehow connect those graphs. Where to get the data, from history or from the trends, it's really up to you. Time period. You can set a strict time period for this graph to be shown on the dashboard. 30 minutes, and that's it. You can do like that. So I would like to say, play with this. It's a very cool thing, and we will play with it tomorrow as well. So some overrideness, like you can place a minimum and the maximum values, like 100% strictly there. Play with the units. You can disable the showing of a legend if you, let's say, already know what's there. So you can disable the legend. Or make it take more than one row, let's say 2 or even 3. You can show the problems on the same graph. There's a trick. You can show all the problems, what happened with your host, and if you have a really problematic host, it will be not so, let's say it will just fill with the problem color everything. Or you can only for the related item, so this will show you, this will mark the region where you had an issue. And of course, don't forget, the problem name or tags or even severity can be applied here and controlled. So upon your request. The next big thing, of course, is the overrides. And I really like the overrides. Let's say I've added everything as a single data set, but I have a CentOS host. And I would like it to be shown in a different way. In order not to create a, let's say, different data set for that, I can add an override like CentO with a star, then the same CPU util, and then what to override. Let's say color. Let's make it blue, or turquoise, or violet. Looks awesome, almost. Sorry, a little misconfiguration from my side. We will use a little bit different wildcard in overrides. You know, this happens when you try to do something really well, and it just happens, so excuse myself. I will try to troubleshoot the graph widget right now, so nobody died, so this is recorded. If I would have access to my mice, I could a little bit make it faster. So, but this is some sort of the playing, so still it's a show, you know. So I've overridden the Ubuntu host, and I've selected it to show as a staircase. You can override very the same settings in the overrides as you can point into the data sets. Place a y-axis on the right or on the left, mix them, and when you click apply, I would make it bigger. I will make it a lot bigger. So once you save changes, you can zoom in into some sort of the period, like 31, 36 minutes. You can hover that one to be able to find out the values as well. This is the graph widget. We will play with this tomorrow. But let's talk about the problems right now and the problems view. Alexey already covered a lot of the problems, so how to work with that view. But let me to do a little bit, let's say, a recap. First, the new problem view basically is really cool. So with that amount of sorting you can do there, you will like to have some problems to make it colorful, you know. This is a standard view you had before, basically. So a big screen to show all your problems with the currently happening issues in your infrastructure. What we have there? In the right hand, we have a problem name, we have a duration, so if there were any acknowledgements, if there were any actions took, and the tags. On the left, we have the host name, the current state, when it was recovered, if it was recovered, the problem name and the problem color, so the severity color, and please know that you can override those and make your own unique coloring and name it as you wish, and the time when the problem started. Then we have a filter. So on the left in the filter, we have a lot of cool things like host groups or hosts, so you can place there only that information you really care. But on the right, you have a really cool filterings, like you can filter out by the host inventory. You can filter out by the tags. You can show the tags or hide the tags. So you can show the tags in a full, shorten it, or not show them anymore. If you do some sort of the great tag filtering, at some point you would like some of the tags to be shown in the first place and then the others. So with the tag display priority, you can configure that. If you click on the compact view, which, as Alexey said, can contain up to 50 on the same page, which is really nice, and my favorite one is highlight the whole row, it will make this problem view to look like this. A lot more compact. You can really highlight the things that you have right now, and it is easier to find the resolved issues because it highlights or not highlights the whole row in such situation. I would use it, and actually while I've played with a 4.0, I would like to say that once I've configured it to show as a compact view and highlight the whole row, I've never went back. Only the new instances, but before I apply those two ticks. Then, of course, the tags. Select the tags you would like to show, and the problems with those tags will be filtered out with that in that problem view, which is really nice. So play with that, or we will play with that tomorrow starting at 8 a.m. The maps. Many of you already played with maps and know what the maps is, but let's go and talk about the maps again. Got maps? If yes, then cool. If no, then you should create few, and I will show how. First thing, what is the maps? Place hosts or host groups or even triggers or some sort of the images on that map to identify some problems. Create your own logical infrastructure for all IT services in your infrastructure, IT layers. So starting from the simple networking and by ending with your complex self-written Java applications working because of many daemons are working, and you would like to place this on a map, stick this map to some sort of the monitoring room in a huge, huge big screen, and then observe it. And all your team can find out if there are any problems. You can create the linkage between them to represent if there are any current issues. Custom labels can provide you a real-time information of some sort of the item you've configured previously. And of course, you can set the icons automatically, so reducing some manual work. But before we proceed, the automatic icon mapping will work perfectly fine when you do a perfectly fine inventory collection and population. So some sort of a thing you need to think about, but I would like to say it's really cool when it works. I have a simple, very simple map. So I'm running the Postgres service, I'm running the Apache and on the same Linux box, and this represents my next cloud service. So I've drawn that map, and I've placed some custom icons. So if I have any issues with this host, it will be highlighted with some sort of the color of that issue. And will provide a meaningful information in the label of my host or trigger. And of course, it depends on the settings you've configured. To share or not to share, that is the question. And the answer is depends on your business requirements. So you can make it private or make it public. If you make it public, you can do some permissions to your users, allowing them to edit those maps. In case you share the same map and the same infrastructure and you know that they can add some additional value to your map, give them a read-write permission. For others, you can grant a read only. Or you can make it a totally private, only for you, and enjoy yourself. So, the bender will create his maps with the blackjack and the hosts. And this is how to do it. First thing, I said that we can do a value mapping. So this is how value mapping rule actually looks. Administration general icon mapping. So select the field where you would like to find some specific string. Write a complex or non-complex regular expression. Select the icon, which will be by the default. I would suggest you to use the PNG icons with a transparent background. Navigate to the monitoring. Set the name for your map so you'll be able to find it. Let's name it services. Set a width and a height. I will just make it 124 by 768. If you have some background images, you can place the background images as well. Select your icon mapping rule. Select some effects like icon highlighting to make sure you will spot if there are any issues with your host. You can filter out, of course, by the minimum severity if you would like. You can use some advanced labeling options right there, or you can configure them in the constructor. So open the constructor. I will make a grid a little bit more obvious, so I would like to place icons as I want. Some of the things I will skip on this map, so I would show it once, and then I assume that this will be done for all the icons and all the hosts I've placed there. As a label, I will use the macros, and my colleague Kasper's already told about how cool it is to use the macro. So I will use macro, and yes, you can extend this window and type in some more valuable information. Then I will select my host. I don't need to select any icon. This will be automatically applied. So here it is. If I'm not sure if the host.host will be resolved correctly as I want, I can click on the expand macro. Set it on, and the name is resolving. So I can do some troubleshooting in case of what without saving the map. Then you can just clone it. So right-click, copy, right-click, paste, and that's it. The new host applies here. I will select the CentOS, and right now I have two hosts, and the host.host macro was resolved. I've done the same thing for every host I've placed there. So I placed the Zabbix server, and I placed two services, like MySQL and the PostgreSQL. I've added a link indicator on that, and by default, this one is green. So in order your link to change the color from, let's say, the default one, which is green, to some sort of the red, or even change its boldness, or let's say make it dashed, you need to have a trigger. So trigger will be the one who will be responsible for the line. I've marked that, so in the end, I've make every host connected. I would like to add some valuable information to show how much processes of the SNMPD daemon is running on that host. In order to do it in real time, you need to place a syntax which is quite similar to the trigger syntax, but without a threshold. And host.host will allow me to use the copy-paste to any other host I would like. So no hard coding. Apply that. As you see, 0 processes is running on that host. If you would like to add some sort of the information to a label, here you will need to hard code things. The same applies. Very, very similar to the trigger expression. Configure that, you see, that link indicator is up, which stands for my Zabbix agent is up. I've added some other additional link indicators. I would like to change a little bit how this map will look. As you can see, icon is pretty much the same for all of them, because this one is being used by the default. Just a simple perfectionism. I would like to make it one on top of each other. Click on the update, and then open your map. As you can see, all the icons were automatically applied, so I've never done any of the manual job. And yeah, of course, they're highlighted with the severity of that. So I can click on them, I can drill down to the problems, I can go to the latest data, or I can even run the custom scripts. After we've done all this huge work with configuring the items, the triggers, the maps, and all that stuff, we would like to place it on a dashboard. So get dashboarded, and it's better to do it now. We have really nice dashboards. So first thing is a custom widgets. Place the information you really care. Filtering based on the severities. And let the user create their own custom dashboards with the information they really care. And of course, share your dashboard so you can do it. You know why he's here? Because he loves to do customized things. So he will create his own custom dashboards with the blackjack, graphs, and the problems, and will show you how to do it. So be prepared. Monitoring dashboard, create dashboard. Name it as you wish. I just name it as a services. We have a lot of nice new widgets you can place there. So I will not focus on any of them. We can discuss it tomorrow, if, of course, we will have time. But I will start with the map navigation tree. It's a very nice widget which allows you to place only, let's say, 2 widgets. One is a map widget, second one is a map navigation tree to your dashboard, and be able to switch between your maps and whatever. Do you have them on the map as a drill down map or a child map or no? I decided to name it like a John Doe infrastructure. Click Add. Adjust it so it should look pretty. So each widget is adjustable. Depends on how many information you want to place in a single line, you can adjust it. Click on a plus and add the elements of the tree. I will just select a top-level map where I've placed another maps as well, and I will add all the submaps out of that. So if I will expand this one, I can see those 3 submaps there. The next is I will add my recently created map called Services. Add the widget, which is being called as a map. and select the source of information, the map navigation 3, John Doe infrastructure. Good. Add, and place it somewhere nearby your map navigation widget. Drag and drop, very easy. How it was set, left click, right click, and that's it. Let's add some more widgets. I would like to add few problem widgets, one for one group of the host, second for the second group of the host. So the same rules applies. You can use a filtering by the severity, you can use filtering by the tags, and you can name it as you wish. You can exclude or include some of the hosts. I would like Linux production to be placed on that warning, average, high, or disaster. And I would like only 15 recent lines, so 15 recent problem regarding this host group to be shown in this widget. Make it a little bit tiny. And of course, click to add. So the CentOS has problems, and they were recently resolved. Placing another widget, the same problem, but for different host group. This time, I will use the database servers. The same severity. I don't want to be aware about the non-classifieds, and let it be 25 lines. Don't forget to click on Add. And as a cherry on top of this nice dashboard, I would like to place a graph widget. The same as I was performing a few minutes ago, I will place barely the same VM. The pattern is the same CPU util. Make sure that it's working. Again, lines, points, staircase. I will choose lines. I really like the overrides, so I will go there again, and I will place some overrides. Basically, I would like to change the color a little bit to make it blue. And this should be really fine. I would like to add some problems there as well, but only this selected, so I am aware about those problems in the graph widget. And make it bigger. Because I like the cool graphs to be big. Okay, I've already was signaled that there is not much time left, so sorry for separating you and the lunchtime. So this blender again takes to take all on him. Yeah, he helped me, so thank you.
Thank you very much. We still have a couple of minutes for 1 or 2 questions from the application.
Yeah, thank you, Alex, for the presentation. So the first question is, can we actually forward value mappings into inventory data instead of numbering value? Is that possible?
I'm actually not sure that this is possible because the values are being stored in the row. So, and inventory is being took from the database.
Right. Thank you. And another question is, how can the new graph be copied or saved as an image to send an email or include it as an incident? Is that possible?
Control print screen makes everything possible. Or with some sort of the community tools, so you can do it. Any other questions?
Maybe some couple of questions from the audience as well. Okay, I see the hand. Xavier. Yeah, don't worry, Xavier.
Thank you. I have a question. Will there be a compact view for problems in widgets as well? Because now I didn't see it. Maybe I mislooked it?
Good question. I haven't seen the latest roadmap, so I'm not be able to answer it right now. But I can drop an eye on the roadmap, and I can ask some decision makers, and I will be able to answer this question during the lunch or tomorrow.
Sorry, I have one question more. There's a URL for full screen. Is there any kind of for kiosk mode as well?
I believe you can do it.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay,
That's it?
Xavier. I have 2 questions. Sorry. The first is in programs you showed filters contains by tags and equals. Is there a way to have not contain?
Right now you have only 2 options, so equals or contain, but you can raise a feature request for that.
And the second question is, there is a way to have, by API, the creation of the widget?
Good question. Yes, you can do it via the API.
Thanks.
Welcome.
Thank you. Yeah.
Hello. I wanted to ask, can you use tags instead of regex in these selector statements?
What sort of the tags?
Whatever tags. For example, all CPU utilization for all servers tagged like application 1.
I'm sorry, I'm not following. Could you please ask it again?
You wrote, for example, Ubuntu selector in this graph. So its graph gets CPU utilization from CentOS computers. But can you use tags in there?
You should use the wildcard mask.
Wildcard mask.
It's
not tags.
It's not like a regex. It's more like a mask.
Okay, and one last question from the audience, if we have. Okay, just a second, please.
Hello, thank you very much. It was very interesting.
Thank you.
I used to use Grafana and I use it right now. Is it possible to create a dashboard template like it's possible in Grafana and to choose the server, host or group to be displayed on the dashboard?
So right now you can, as a part of the workaround, you can create a dashboard with some sort of the widgets and copy it or clone it. So, but still you will need to go to each widget and configure what you would like to see there. So we will not call it as a template, but the cloning is available, so I think you can get benefit out of that.
I guess the task is something like when we have 200 servers, well, for example, do I have to create a lot of dashboards for them, or what should I do? Can I click on a server and show its dashboard, or how do I do it? In Grafana, I just...
the dashboards generally are not tied to any... not tied to any of the particular hosts, so they're more likely tied to some sort of the user because we have a user owner. We have some comments from our CEO.
There is a microphone. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so I'd like to comment on this. Basically, so what we are trying to achieve right now is to kind of combine functionality of screens and the dashboards. So we already have this functionality in screens when you may create some sort of dynamic items, and then you have a host selection. Yeah, you select a different host, and basically you get different screen for this specific host. And that's what is, I believe, coming in 4.2. When there will be no screens, there will be only dashboards, and all functionality which already exists for screens will also be supported by new dashboards. Yeah, that's the idea, basically.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alexey.